The Wildcat defense.
Rudy Carpenter, now on Rockin' Manooch on Fox Sports 910 on FM at 99.9 HD2.
All right, former Sun Devil, Rudy Carpenter joins us down the right to the guest line. Rudy, just saw that the Arizona State Sun Devils and their head coach, Kenny Dillingham, has announced that redshirt freshman Sam Leavitt will get the start. Of course, he's the transfer from Michigan State against Wyoming. Your thoughts on what you know of him, and are you content with this at least here on the 19th of August?
Yeah, to me, it's no surprise. I've been down to ASU at a couple of their practices and, have been able to watch those guys, compete a little bit and play. And, because of that, this is not a move that really surprised me at all. I thought that really once Jaden Rashada left, I thought this was going to be Sam's job. And every time I've watched him practice, he's looked pretty good.
And from that standpoint, when you look at him, Rudy, what are some of the things a lot of Sun Devil fans can expect to see? What were you impressed with?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to tell in practice when you don't have, live bullets. I think that, makes everything different, right? But, when he's not getting hit and they're working in 7-on-7 or they're working in team run or play action pass, third down, whatever. He's a guy that got some experience last year at Michigan State. He's played in some bigger environments. He's been on the field. But to me, out of the group of quarterbacks, he was the guy that possessed the best timing, the best accuracy, the best anticipation, the most consistent decision-making. And on top of that, I think that you might have some guys that are more athletic than him or faster than him. But he's athletic enough. He's fast enough to be able to extend the play and to be able to escape and get out of danger with needed, and get you a first down with his legs on third and medium when he needs to do that. Although it's not, the focal point of his game, he has that ability. And then from what I've heard, I haven't been able to see this, like I said, in practice, but from what I've heard, he's pretty tough, both physically and mentally. And I think that's also a super important factor when trying to be a starting quarterback at a major Division I level.
Rudy, when you talk about athleticism, Sims comes in from Nebraska, really struggled as a quarterback, but to your point, a hell of an athlete, right? How would you utilize him, and would he be the backup, or do you think Trenton Bourguet would be the safe choice to be the backup to Leavitt?
Well, that's a much more difficult question for a lot of reasons, because we haven't seen a ton of Jeff Sims. When he has played, he's struggled. And then on top of that, you got a guy like Trenton Bourguet, who, in my opinion, probably deserves to be that backup. He's put in his time. He's put in his dues. When he got a chance to play, he was serviceable, did the best he could, did a nice job, showed he was able to compete. In my viewpoint, showed that, he could keep you in a game. He might not be that guy that's going to go out there and win you the game and be a difference maker, but you're not going to lose because of him. And I think as a backup quarterback, that's an important thing. I guess if it was me, I look at this ASU team and look, I'm not trying to bash on them, but I just think that they're going to struggle a little bit. They're not really where they need to be from a talent perspective. They're playing in a very tough conference, tough schedule. So if I'm Kenny Dillingham, I'm going to try to find ways to get use out of every single player on my roster. And if that means Sam Leavitt is my starter, great. If that means Trenton Bourguet is my backup, if we get into an extended period of time where a guy's got to come in and play, great. But if I can use Jeff Sims in a wildcat package, in a goal line package, in a short yardage, package where, you can bring a guy in there and basically have a glorified back playing quarterback, that makes it really tough on the defense because now they have to account for all 11 players in the run game. And it's a way when you're on the goal line or you're in a short yardage situation and everything is compact and tight and there's a bunch of bodies down in the box in the line of scrimmage. It's a way for the offense to gain back control from a numbers standpoint and a matchup standpoint. And lastly, like I said, when you're ASU and you are where you are on the roster right now with your talent level, I think you just got to find ways to utilize every single body that can compete for you or that can produce for you on that roster.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Rudy, let me follow up then with that. Are you saying that you might see Arizona State's offense try to do a lot more of ball control? Because last season they ran the ball relatively effectively. You just chronicled how good this Big 12 conference is and how difficult their schedule is. So if you run the ball, you eat more time off the clock, try to shorten the game. Could that be a concept that fans might see as the season gets ready to start?
I mean, I have no idea when it comes to that. I would imagine that this is just a pure guess, and knowing Kenny a little bit and that coaching staff, I think Kenny's a smart guy, and I think Kenny's going to try to find ways to get the most out of the entire roster, top to bottom. I think that, ASU feels good about their team, and I think they feel good about their quarterback, and I think Kenny's going to run his offense. I don't think that because they're going to a new conference or because maybe from a talent standpoint they're still trying to catch up, that they're going to, throw everything out that they've done. Kenny's going to change, his identity completely, because I don't see that. I think Kenny's going to be Kenny Dillingham, and he's going to run the type of offense that got him to, be the head coach at ASU. That's my guess. I think they're going to try to utilize Sam Leavitt's talent as a thrower as much as they can, as a competitor as much as they can. I think that I literally think that, Kenny's a smart guy. He's an innovative guy. He's going to do everything he can to put his guys in a position to win and to put them in the best place to win. All I'm saying is that, I like when, you saw like back in the day with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow when he was young, when, you have a quarterback that can do, something special or can provide you something that you don't have, you should utilize it. And when you can, kind of like ASU had back a couple of years ago with Michael Eubanks or something, when you can have a big, strong, athletic quarterback in a goal line situation or a short yardage situation, and he can, run quarterback power, quarterback counters, quarterback ISOs, or he can just run the old school student body sweep right or left with him running behind all the lead blockers and create the numbers for you. That's what you're trying to create, is numbers and matchups, and you can get it back on the positive side for you. I would utilize it. And I think Kenny's a smart guy, and he might look at that and say, hey, let's try to use him some way.
Rudy, it's good to hear that you've been out to a couple practices. Are we going to see the next USC on the sidelines here on Frank Cush Field? We're going to see a bunch of alum hanging out on the sideline this fall?
Oh, I have no idea about that, but I will give credit where credit is due. I've been a complainer since I've been out of ASU. I will admit I have been a complainer that ASU doesn't always do a good job staying tapped in with their alum, and they're not always inviting with their past alum and trying to get guys around. I've complained, and as much as I've complained, I've done a terrible job of not taking advantage of the opportunity. Life is busy, but I do have to give them credit. Ever since Kenny Dillingham took the job at ASU, without a doubt, that football program and the support staff have done a much better job than any previous coaching staff trying to reach and trying to get guys in and around their football team. And I give Kenny and the staff there a lot of credit for that.
I love it. Here you are coming out, Rudy, saying I was a complainer. I love that. I'm glad that you're giving credit where credit's due, and I think a lot of alum are happy to hear that.
Look, I'm somebody that doesn't mind telling the truth. I've always done it, even when it's not in my favor. And yeah, I mean, I was as loud as anybody complaining, and now they're trying to do something different, and I really respect it. And I just think it's really good for those young players or the players in general just to know, who the guys are that came before them. I think it's really important to know when you got a guy like Danny White showing up at your practice. I think it's important to know when you got Jeff Van Raphorst there, the only Sun Devil quarterback to win a Rose Bowl. I think it's really important when you got a guy like, Derek Hagan, who pops around the program and was a coach there, because when he graduated, he was the Pac-10's all-time leading wide receiver, not just, school history, but the whole Pac-10. That's what it was at the time, right? I mean, I think those things are very important. And I think the more that the players understand the history of the school and the guys that came before them, I think that's an important thing.
He's Rudy Carpenter, former Sun Devil, and you'll probably see him at some games this year. So, Rudy, thank you as always, man. Good stuff today.
Take care.
You got it. Rudy Carpenter joining us here on Rock with Jimmy.
He fessing up a little bit there.
Yeah,
I like that.
He's always been very outspoken,
Sure.
and that's why we love having him on every Monday, especially after wins and losses for the Sun Devil program. And he's an agent. He's got his own business. He's really dialed in, and I'm glad to see him out there. And hopefully it'll never get to a USC sideline, but I think it'd be pretty cool to see a sideline with a bunch of alum.
Well, Kenny's been very open about inviting these guys back, and that's one of the things he said. We want all the alumni to be incorporated, and he's one of them.
Right.
And to be incorporated, we want those guys. You just heard Rudy talk about Danny White, Derek Hagan. You look at the J.D. Hills from years go by. I mean, even the modern guys, come on out here. They want to – let's talk about our rich history that we're trying to get back to in order to have some kind of a semblance that when these guys come out, they can say, well, he's on the Ring of Honor, and he's a Ring of Honor, and he's a Hall of Famer. And then there's this guy named Mike Haynes. He's part of the Hall of Fame. And there's these other guys. Yeah, but I mean, they need to know the history of why they're there. And maybe you stick around because of, knowing that you have a good shot if you're good enough to move on to the next level. And not only that, guys, not everybody's going to make it. But if you've got those connections in the community and you get your degree, you don't make football, you stay, those are great contacts for you. And the networking, Rock, the networking is huge in this valley. And exactly right. On top of that,
join the team at the largest towing company in the state. That's All City Towing. They're hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, customer service personnel. And they got great benefits. And they also have set work schedules, a healthy 401k, employer match, employer paid life insurance, health benefits, a monthly fuel allowance. I can go on and on. If you're ready to take your career to a next level, just visit them online at allcitytowing.com. That's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. We'll continue. We're out here at the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.